Calgary, Canada for the 2018 IPF Classic World Championships. I'm here with Rebecca Main and we're kicking off the 66 and 74 kilo sub-junior man, and it is going to be an exciting afternoon. Welcome to the panel, Rebecca.
Thank you. I'm really glad to be here.
And our first lifter, Takahiro Korea from Japan, looking for 145 to open his campaign. So Rebecca is referee, national coach, and lifter.
Yes, this is my 20th year with either USA Powerlifting or IPF.
And we've got some fantastic experience in the booth. Gets down nice and deep and stands it back up. 3 white lights. Next lift, Shimpai Marais. Looking for 145 kilograms. Japanese lifters have been absolutely outstanding with their technique.
Indeed they have. This session before I was refereeing and every lift was picture perfect.
Yeah, it's great to watch, especially in these juniors and sub-juniors. This is where you want to drill in that technique and those neural pathways. Stands up easily. Let's see what the referees have to say. Yeah, you've got one red light. Just a little bit high on one side. Yeah, it's always hard to tell for us down here, but a little high on one side, but 2 white lights is all you need. Next lifter, Ben Herriot from Canada, 150. So being a national referee, you'd know plenty of these lifters, I'd imagine.
I do know some of them. I'm actually an IPF referee.
Apologies, IPF referee.
No worries.
Having a little hard time with that. Might have just popped a little bit high for his opening lift there.
And hopefully he can come back and get that lift easily.
Yeah, he pulled up a little shy, first lift nerves. I'm sure he'll be back out to rectify that. Philip King from Singapore, looking for 157.5 to open up his campaign. Very, very focused lifter. Has his rack height set rather high, making it a little bit hard to get out. Plenty of depth, but a lot of work for an opening lift.
Definitely seemed a little bit heavy for an opener, but really nice technique.
Yeah, great technique. We've been talking all week to a lot of the other guys about how important it is for that opening lift to be well within reason. Something you can hit on a bad day, especially in the juniors. You've got so many nerves on this international stage. Albert Sankovic from Belarus, 160 kilograms. I've seen Albert lift a number of times. He's absolutely outstanding lifter. He is going to be someone to watch out for in the juniors and the opens as he gets older and more experienced.
Really nice walkout.
Great bar path. And he gets 2 white lights, just getting picked on a little bit high on one side, but 2 is all you need.
And every once in a while you come across a referee that is a different level of strict.
Yeah, look, and the athletes go at the back and they talk to each other as well. So, yeah, they know that when they come out there, look, these guys are going to look for this, and they'll make the proper adjustments. Bartosz Wurzuk from Poland wants 175. That's great having the referee experience here in the commentators box. When we get those red lights, we've got some expertise to make sure everyone at home can understand what for.
Certainly. I can recite things word for word.
Gets in deep. A lot of hard work for an opening lift, but he handles it without any problems. 2 white lights, another little red on the depth there.
Same side though. Starting to see a little bit of a trend.
Yeah, and the athletes really appreciate consistency.
Very true.
Stephen Gassett from the USA looking for 180.
Stephen is an inspiration to me. I've actually had the chance to work with him at a meet before as a coach.
Oh, fantastic.
And he has a disability, but it does not show.
There you go. And he stands it up, making it look easy. 3 white lights, and his disability certainly isn't his squat.
He does a fabulous job with a walkout. He knows his levers, and he sets himself perfectly every single time. Very pragmatic.
Great technique. Solomon Turkey from France wants to open at 200 kilograms.
And this is our heaviest open squat.
That is a big squat for a 66 kilo sub-junior.
It is 440 pounds for those who are not great at kilograms.
Just taking his time.
It's a nice part about having a minute.
Yeah, I mean, from the outside, a minute seems like a really short period of time, but a minute's a long time to set up. When you're out on that platform, it seems like forever. Just struggled a little bit with that.
And I almost wonder if they would give him a relift due to spotter error.
Yeah, the spotters did jump in a bit quick, and, you know, the spotters are always trying to think of safety, and sometimes it's quite hard to hold back when you think they're in trouble. And that's why we do give a relift if need be.
When the bar path is so much askew to one side, as a spotter you feel as if it's falling.
Yeah, look, it's a natural instinct. I mean, these guys are doing a great job out there. And we've seen some very, very quick catches from the spotters.
Indeed.
Takahiro Kariya from Japan for his second attempt, looking at 147.5.
Very conservative second lift. Only added 2.5 kilos.
Happened at 145, and it didn't look overly difficult either. But that 2.5 kilos certainly added a lot more work to his lift.
It did.
And he gets the white lights.
It almost felt as if he set up a little bit wider the second time.
Yeah,
Changed
sometimes.
the way
Yeah, you see that when they come out. Ben Harriet looking to redeem himself on 150 kilograms. Well, let's hope for his sake it was just first lift nerves. Rushed his setup a little bit.
I've talked to many lifters, especially this age range. This is what I coach the most. And once you get past that first approved squat,
Oh, look, that first lift,
it changes everything.
even in a regional competition, first squat's the most nervous. You're a sub-junior walking out on an international stage, there's cameras everywhere. That was better. He got down a little bit deeper.
Much better.
And he gets 3 white lights. That'll wipe off the nerves.
I've talked to some of the most elite lifters in the past week who've told me it doesn't matter how many meets you've done, you still get nervous.
Yeah, look, those nerves still kick in, the adrenaline kicks in.
People I even know on the platform are still nervous.
Shinpei Marais from Japan wants 155. Opened at 145. It was a pretty tough 145 too. And he's got good technique.
Nice measured setup.
And he does that easily. And he gets the white lights.
As we mentioned, one referee has the depth call a little more often than others.
Philip Kim from Singapore wants 165. He hit a 157.5 on his opener.
These are more regular jumps that we're seeing here. 5 kilos, 7.5 kilos, that's pretty normal.
He sets his rack very high and makes it very difficult for him to get out. And that's a lot of energy he's just used just to walk it out. And it's a little bit too much. He's using up a lot of energy on the walk out there.
Any of the coaches that I've worked with, if we see something like that, we fix it immediately.
Albert Stankovic from Belarus. He's looking for 175, and it should be well within his grasp. Such a tall young man.
For this body weight, yes, he is quite tall, very lean.
He's pushing through, he's using that straight back, and he gets it to the top. That was a lot of work for a second lift. But he gets the white lights, and it's a good lift.
Push. He never stopped, but boy, he was not moving very much.
And if you teach them at this young age and coach them at this young age to really concentrate on that technique, it gives them the opportunity to really keep pushing when they get into trouble. Bartosz Warszuk from Poland wants 182.5.
And I admire his haircut.
Well, you know, look, I was just looking at the facial hair and making sure it was actually a sub-junior. 17 years of age.
An early bloomer.
Very nicely done. Put in a bit of work, but he stood it up without too much trouble. And he gets 2 white lights.
Now the
One
tricky
right
thing
there.
about that last lifter is when he gets set up, it doesn't feel like his knees are locked out.
Yeah, I was watching the same thing there. It was an interest to see if his knees were actually locked in place. And as you know from refereeing experience, the knees have to be locked before the lift can start. And they have to be locked at the top when they finish. Stephen Gassett from the US of A wants 185.
A nice addition of 5 kilos, and it should be really simple for him.
His technique, his setup, this is outstanding. If you're a kid at home watching this, want to get into powerlifting, this is one of the guys you should be watching.
Please do.
You know, 3-step walkout,
Perfect.
energy conservation, big breath, controlled, straight back to the top. And he gets that one on the board. Turkis from France, looking for that 200 kilograms that he missed on the opener. Well, let's hope it was
like
just
he has
nerves.
The strength. I hope it was just that.
Yeah, look, he got a little bit out of line. I don't think he expected that he was in trouble. He looked quite surprised when the spotters took the bar.
I'm actually slightly surprised that he's wearing an A7 shirt that has bar grip on it, and it's the championship shirt that A7 brought.
Cannot wear
However,
a shirt
he
with
does
grip.
have bar grip on his shirt. Maybe he didn't realize that's not a competition shirt. However,
Yeah, look, it's quite possible he didn't realize that.
That means he would be timing out because he came out with that on, and now he has 2 lifts that he hasn't gotten.
So now he has one chance left to hit the 200.
Presumably at that 200. It's not
and
starting well for.
Look, we've been talking about the coaches all week, especially with the juniors and sub-juniors. His coaches should have been aware of that.
You have to be watching like a hawk.
His coaches should have been well aware. Just
So
the French coach having a bit of discussion with the jury there.
Yeah. So the things that are sold at World Meets, they are not all approved. In fact, most of them aren't.
That's right. And look, all the athletes, all the coaches, all the rest, we all have access to the IPF approved list.
And
We
one thing
update
to
them,
keep
put
in
them out
mind-
regularly.
Keep in mind, if it's the competition shirt, which is a gray t-shirt this year, that is approved.
That's
It has
right.
the logo and it is cotton.
And here comes Ben Harriet wanting that 157.5. Had a tough one his opening lift, but rectified that straight away. And after watching his second lift, I think 157.5 should be a good lift. He's got his form back now.
Absolutely right. That was a perfect choice for him.
Yeah, I mean, if you remember the first lift, he pulled up short, he got himself out of line.
Whatever nerves he had before, he
They're
doesn't
gone
have
now.
that problem now.
Takahiro Karida from Japan, he wants 160. That's a big jump, 145, 147.5, and then 160.
That's
But he did handle the 147.5 very easily.
Right. He
But
went
it's
from
still-
being the first lifter to being the second here, so a
It's
little bit of
still
a
a
jump.
very big jump though. And especially for a 66 kilo lifter, that's a lot of extra weight. And it's a little too much.
Now, I'm not sure if you noticed, he initially had a more narrow setup.
Yeah, his
with
first couple of
feet.
lifts were a lot narrower, weren't they? And now he's taken that stance out a bit wider.
He went straight conventional with toes almost completely forward to a modified 45-degree toe out.
Yeah, it's not something you can do in one lift at this
No.
level. Philip Kim from Singapore wants 165, and he missed this on his second. Just a bit heavy for him. Let's see if he can fix this up. I mean, hopefully it was just a technique issue.
Now, this is the one that sets his bar really high, isn't it?
Yeah, he wasted a lot of energy getting it out of the bar, and that's a
He got it.
much better walkout. Still a bit too heavy for him.
Something that has always bothered me is I notice their hands, before they get the start command, they can move their hands and they can open them. Obviously, laterally is not a good idea. But once they start that lift, they cannot open their hand.
Once you start that lift, the hands have got to
And
stay
I've
in
seen
position.
that twice today. They open their hand all the way, and that's very unsafe.
Shinpei Moraes from Japan, 167.5. This is another young lifter. If you're watching at home and you're just starting out, this is another guy you want to be keeping an eye on.
I really respect his setup as well.
He has very good technique. He takes his time with his setup. He's a little more aggressive on this lift. Obviously something he may not have done before. He handled that well. He got a little bit out of line at the bottom there.
A little bit.
He gets the 2 white lights. He handled that little error quite well.
It's as if he didn't engage his lats at the top. You could see that he was forward leaning just a smidge.
Yeah, he just changed a little bit. Albert Stankovic from Belarus looking at 182.5. This is going to make him work a little bit.
Another 7.5 kilo jump.
He handled the 175 well, but he had to work for it. This one's going to make him work.
He was going over the bottom, so we'll see it.
Yeah, that's looking pretty heavy on the back there. He doesn't look as confident. Just a little bit too much. Very mature athlete there, though, staying under the bar and hanging on tight while the spotters took the load.
That's actually been a really big point of contention just in the last 2 days. We've had masters lifters that did not stay with the bar.
Yeah, and it's important. I mean, we want to protect the athletes, but we want to protect the spotters as well. And it's, you know, if you drop a bar or walk out from under it, you put a lot of people at risk.
This is a freestanding standard. Once you're out, it is you, the bar, and your spotters and loaders.
Bartosz from Poland looking at 187.5.
Their coaches have a really good strategy. They went 7.5 and then 5.
He's a gutsy lifter, this one.
You can see it in his face.
Yeah, if he gets into trouble, expect him to push it as hard as he can all the way.
Agreed.
He's giving it everything. Wow. For a second there, I thought he was actually going to drive through.
We've seen some of the same types of lift today.
What an effort. Stephen Gassett from the US of A, he wants 187.5 as well.
Having coached for the USA team, seeing a 5-pound jump from the first to second and then a 2.5 jump for the final is exactly what we do.
Yeah, look, we've been watching the US, the Canadian coaches all week, and their lifts have been very, very well thought through.
Meticulous.
And you know, when a US lifter comes out, even for a record, we know that the US coaches, there isn't a hope of him getting it, they're not putting it on the bar. If they put it on the bar, they know there's a chance.
Very strong setup.
He's going to work through it. Those tree trunk legs have stood him up. And he gets the 3 white lights.
I honestly couldn't have scripted that better.
That was absolutely fantastic.
There's the chance that he might have had more, but why be foolish?
Well, you know, you could take a risk of being a little bit more, but if you just play a little bit conservative, that's another 2.5 kilos that he's got in his total.
And that's something that we work on at USA Powerlifting. We talk about being specific about our choices and setting us up for
it's about the end game. And a lot of lifters come out trying to get big gains really fast. I'll get another squat, another big squat. But you've got to look at the end game.
And that doesn't teach much to the young folks.
Yeah, you need to conserve a little bit of energy for the end. Turkey from France, last chance to hit 200 kilograms. He has had one rough start.
We always want a lifter to get a lift.
Yeah, no one wants to see these guys fail out from a missed lift. That looked better. And he gets the 3 white lights. Talk about putting pressure on himself.
You could see it in his face.
So much pressure on that one lift.
Happy release.
We'll move on to the 74 kilo now. Marcio Vinicius Silva from Brazil wants 150 kilograms. junior 74 kilograms. They've mixed our screens up here. Someone suddenly put the
juniors, we have the sub juniors. So what that
suddenly
means,
someone put the juniors on our screen.
every once in a blue moon, you see the Wi-Fi's and or signals cross, and we get the same screen as the other side. Now it's right.
That's better. 74 kilo sub junior. Akuma Ishikawa
juniors
from Japan wanting 152 and a half. We're back on track now. I do hope he knows he's on because the clock is ticking down. He's still putting his wrist wraps on.
It always worries me when I see the time started.
Yeah, look.
They're starting the first wrist wrap.
And even though 30 seconds is enough time to set up, it's not enough time if he has to re-rack it and start the setup again.
And you never know if the head referee asks you to re-rack.
When he's down to 19 seconds now, if he has to re-rack, he's going to be out of time. Synonymous Japanese technique there, spot on the money. Very white lights. Rick the Graw from Belgium wants 155. Quite a tall lifter.
Very similar to our 66 kilogram Canadian lifter, quite tall.
Yeah. Good depth. Knees dropping in just a little bit there.
Very easy lift, but yes, his bar path led him over the top with his knees.
Yeah, look, when the weight's not too heavy, it's not really a problem, but as that starts to get a little bit heavy, he's really going to have to push those knees out. Matthew Robertson from Canada, 162.5.
Will we find another tall lifter?
It seems to be the flight of tall lifters.
Okay. You want to be tall? 74.
Oh, it saves adjusting the rack heights. 162 and a half. Canadian coaches this week have been very good at picking their lifts as well. Didn't seem to give him too much trouble, but his knees really dropped in.
Once again, yes, those knees came fully into the midline of his body.
Yeah, that's going to cause some problems when he gets to his third lift, and he's really got to work. Dania
Looking down the road is going to cause more problems later.
Kazakhstan, 180 kilograms.
I'm glad you said that name. That's a tricky name to say.
Well, look, there's no promise that I said it right. And it wouldn't be the first time an athlete has corrected me.
I leave it to you.
180 kilograms. Good depth. Gets a nice little bounce out of the bottom and gets his 3 white lights.
He had such an interesting forward lean at the initiation of the lift.
Yeah, look.
He almost let himself sway forward.
I've actually seen that with a few lifters and coaches actually creating this lean forward. I'm not sure if they think there's an advantage out of it, but Evan Glasgow for the USA. I handled that name well.
Good job. He's been in the venue for 2 days, just carefully watching every little thing.
He is built to squat.
He has the perfect levers, you are correct.
And he makes that look easy. That was a really good opening lift choice. A little bit conservative. Made sure it was going to go on the board.
And that's a USA lifter for you.
David Grohl from Poland wants 200 kilograms. 2 lifters opening at 200 kilograms in the 74 kilo class. These spotters and loaders are on fire today. They are super fast through these loads.
Right, when I was refereeing the last session, I told them so.
They were very quick in the last session, which is good from a competition point of view. Not so great when you're an athlete out the back. You're wishing they'd slow down a little bit.
Luckily, this is not equipped, and you don't need to wrap your knees.
200 kilograms. I've seen him lift before. He's an exceptional lifter. He's got himself a little bit offline there. It looks like he's pulled a little bit of a glute max there.
You never want your posterior chain to do anything during your squat.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see if he actually comes back out. I don't think the coaches are going to risk furthering an injury. Timur Kasanov from Kazakhstan, 200 kilograms.
And apparently our second tallest lifter.
Yeah, we've only got one short lifter. Or should we say one normal height lifter? And he gets 2 white lights, just shy on depth on one side.
I admire his setup, but with such long levers, it makes the depth look questionable on one side.
Yeah, and it's always interesting with different biomechanics of different people. And as you know, I mean, it's a tough job refereeing out there because everyone's biomechanics are a little bit different. Rick de Groot from Belgium, 165. Yeah, solid.
Forrest with Gino, I thought maybe you planned that.
Well, you know, we are in sync.
Oh, I thought you were Backstreet Boys.
For those of you watching at home, Gino is our very characteristic announcer and MC here at the venue. And 3 white lights.
That felt easier than his first lift.
Yeah, look, you get those first nerves out of the road. Sometimes you settle back in. We've seen a lot of the lifters this week hit their second lift easier than their first lift.
10 kilograms more, and it looked like easier than the first.
Ikumu Ishikawa from Japan, looking at 167 and a half.
And he got his wrist wraps on first.
Giving himself a little bit more time here. Doesn't have to rush through it.
One from Japan, Ikumu from Japan on 2. Japan on 1, Japan on 2.
Yeah, you never want to be in a position where you have to rush a setup.
As a TC, I try so hard for that never to happen.
A little bit more work than his opening lift. But not too much trouble against 3 white lights.
If you hear weird reactions out of me, I'm reacting to the spotter's motors.
Matthew Robinson coming up on 2, Canada, 170 kilos. Michael Say coming up on 1.
Matthew Robinson, 170 kilograms.
From our host nation, Canada.
The tall Canadian. I'm sure he had a big smile on his face when he walked out then.
Do they only make them tall?
It's something in the water.
Okay.
Good control. Those knees are causing problems though. Now that is going to be interesting because the spotters took that bar before a rack command and he gets 2 red lights.
What that becomes when you have 2 reds and 1 white is their coach can come to the jury and actually talk about, can my lifter get a relift due to spotter loader error? And the jury will then send that coach away, and the jury will decide if they deem a relift or was the lifter maybe not in control.
Yeah.
But the jury will decide.
Yeah, that's right. It's up to the jury It's always an interesting scenario. I mean, if you're watching at home, it's really easy to say, oh, the spotters jumped in too early. The spotters are always thinking about lifter safety. And sometimes they make a decision because they're on the spot.
And it looks like they are going to grant
Looks
that
like
last
they're going
lifter
to grant
a
a relift, which
will
fair
go
enough.
at the end of the round, and it'll be fine. He won't have to follow himself. He'll be the fourth lifter or third lifter in.
Next lifter, Maria Shokatov from Kazakhstan, looking at 195.
No lift, he was high. Timothy was high from New Zealand.
Had to work for it, but didn't seem to have too much trouble. He's smooth all the way through.
It's good to see that he was able to come back a little bit. They were working on the load and didn't have it quite right.
How long is the break? 5 minutes.
Evan Glasgow from the US of A, looking at 197.5. And his bar's loaded.
Here on one, last hold on two. Here comes Stephen with you. 500 kilos per lift.
He is built for this. He's an absolute tree trunk.
Exactly. I try never to compare lifters, but Steven from the last set of lifters and Evan are very similar.
They
Evan's
are
just
built for
taller.
this. They have tree trunks.
Evan's just taller. That's what makes the difference.
Good depth. That's a great squat.
I mean, if you didn't know better, you'd think that two lifters train together. It's
Well, you'd
almost
think so,
identical.
wouldn't you? 3 white lights. David Kroll from Poland wants 200 kilograms. He got himself out of line with this one and had a bit of a glute problem.
Right.
I'm interested to see if he's going to come back out.
These nice
And he
even
is.
numbers are good. 200 translates to 440 pounds. It's a nice even number to multiply.
And he is. He's come back out. Let's hope that glute injury wasn't too bad. Might have just been a little bit of a cramp. That's better. Gets his line right.
It's an entirely different picture.
Yeah, it looks like he may have just had a cramp. I mean, these guys, remember, they're 74 kilo. Sometimes they're cutting a little bit before,
That's exactly what I was
dehydrating a little
thinking.
bit. They had an afternoon weigh-in too, which makes that a little bit harder.
These young lifters come from whatever country or climate they're in. They come to a different country, have to fly, travel.
Yeah, look, and
And then they can't eat because they're trying to achieve that lowest weight at weigh-ins.
Poland is a long trip. It's about a 14-hour flight time, plus a different
Much
time
longer than
zone.
anyone in the U.S. would ever have.
Plus across a different time zone as well, and that can really take its toll. Timur Kasanov from Kazakhstan, 207.5.
Loaded up platform. One for shoulder.
Wow, he handled that really well.
And for anyone paying attention, that's 457.5 pounds from a sub-junior.
2 white lights, just a little high on one side.
We tend to be on the side that seems a little bit higher, so we're seeing the same vantage point as that red
Yeah,
light every
that's right.
time.
Matthew Robinson from Canada wants 170.
I have heard
This-
them say that handedness makes a difference. If you're right-handed, you might squat lower on that side.
So this is our relift. Let's see how he handles the pressure.
Nice walkout.
All right, I think he might have fallen forward before he got the rack command.
You are correct.
That's a no lift. You're a little disappointed there.
I usually would wait. Unfortunately, I
Those
saw it as
knees
clear
were
as day.
causing so many problems for him.
We talked about it. You must have that technique now.
As soon as those knees start to come in, there's lateral movement, and that's what's causing him to fall forward at the top. Rick Negrol from Belgium, 170 kilograms.
So this is going to be interesting. What's going to happen is you're going to have the young man right now from Belarus lifting, and then there will have to be time added in between because the last lifter will have to redo an attempt unless he gives more weight.
Wow, that was deep and just can't quite get there.
Really, really good depth. I wonder if it was a little bit too
Yeah,
much.
we've talked about that through the week with a lot of other people as well. You want to go as deep as you have to go. You throw an extra couple of inches on, you're adding in more, longer workloads.
Some of these gentlemen have such long levers. Any tiny bit extra of depth adds more pounds, more kilos that they have to move.
Yeah, so, you need to train for as deep as you need to be. There are certainly some lifters that work that stretch shortening cycle. But if you've got long levers like this, an extra couple of inches lifting, that's a lot of work. Got a bit of a problem with the boards here. I don't know if we've actually... He has stood that up. Ishikawa from Japan has stood that up. He gets the lights.
It was a very good choice. I think any more would have been just a little bit too much.
Yeah, I think he was at his limit there.
So right now we're just waiting. They are trying to arrange who will lift next.
Yeah, so
and
what's
how much
happened
time
is,
they would
because
add.
the relift, it's caused a few problems. We can't have a relift come out and only have 2 minutes rest to come out and lift again.
Correct. And
So
that was
now
only
they have
his
to work it
second
out.
lift was the relift. So in the rule book, what would happen, since he wasn't following himself yet, but he would have been the first lifter, possibly by lot number. Essentially, he would have to give his next weight, and they would have to add time to the clock because there are no lifters between him and his next lift.
Yeah, so you can see how many people are over there trying to work this out. And our
He
jury
has to
panel is
follow
over. Our
himself.
chief ref is here getting his opinion in. We have all the scorers.
Correct.
We have some coaches that think they're getting their word in as well.
Which is
But give us a few
frustrating
moments
for the
and we'll
coach,
be
I'm sure.
back on. And Matthew Robinson is going to now come out and lift his 170. They've used enough time discussing it.
normally, if I can see their lot number, I can discern which lifter would have had to come next, and he may have very well had to do his reattempt on the second, and then add that 3 minutes plus 1 to the time, and then he would get to start any time in that.
Now they have got everything worked out now, and
So they've
Matthew
given
Robinson
2 minutes and 50, or 3 minutes.
has 3 minutes instead of 1 minute.
All right, Matthew Robertson gets a relief.
He can start any time
Yeah,
in
he
that
doesn't
time.
have to wait. If he wants to come out now, he can, but he has that option of waiting.
I've
taking
seen
that
lifters
little bit of
forego
extra.
the 3
Yeah.
minutes and just go.
If they're feeling ready and they're in the right zone, they're psyched up, sometimes waiting can have a detrimental effect.
At this age, definitely. You think about it too much.
Right, so we'll just wait till he's ready to come out. It's their third attempts. We'll get through these and then we'll be into the bench press.
You accurately identified from his very first lift, Matthew's knees slightly go inward on the first lift, and then the second lift, it was much more pronounced.
Yeah, once that weight starts to get a bit heavier, I mean, if they're not controlling it at a light weight, it's unlikely they're going to control it at a heavy weight. I mean, it'd be a different story with an open lifter with 10 years experience, or a heavyweight that has the power in the flexors there, but a young junior, sub-junior lifter. These are the things the coaches want to be correcting right now, so they're not carrying it through into their open years.
This is something that, as a referee, in fact, sitting in that chair, if we see a specific type of technique flaw, that doesn't leave our mind.
Oh, absolutely, I can imagine.
It's funny, I identify people by their shoes, and if I see that set of shoes come out, I remember whatever flaw they had.
And Matthew Robinson has decided to come out now and take his lift. This is 170. Just needs to focus on
Really
pushing
pull.
those knees out.
Really pulling for him. Come on, buddy. Push out, push out, push out, push out.
He's
Now
pushed
he's
the
gotta
knees
wait,
back
wait.
out, and as he pushed them out, he stood up.
Exactly.
And he gets it on the board.
That's good for him.
That's fantastic.
3
It's
attempts
great
at
to
that
see that
weight.
he actually managed to correct that. And how fast did he stand up as soon as he pushed his knees out?
It made all the difference.
Kuma Ishikawa from Japan wants 180.
Really have to give that last Canadian lifter a lot of credit. As a sub-junior, to come back and
It
have
takes a
that
lot to do
maturity,
that. There's a lot of pressure on him there as well.
I don't know many lifters that could have done that.
Ishikawa from Japan, 180. Well, we might have a little bit of a problem here because Ishikawa actually already lifted 180, if I remember rightly, with the mix-up. The referees have just caught up with that.
So
There's
when
a little
they
bit of
redo
confusion
lifts,
created.
they have to switch a few things in the scoring program, and they
Creates a little
off
bit of
the good
confusion
lifts.
sometimes, and all of our referees and spotters and loaders, the jury panel, and even us, we're working off the board that the system puts through. And sometimes with everything going on, it just catches you off guard. So we will actually have Dania Shakatov from Kazakhstan looking at 202.5.
The bar is not loaded. Boris, chief referee, wants to start a new clock. Billy hasn't recessed the clock.
One of the things that I've noticed when we have little misloads or relifts, you really have to have, as a referee, your head in the game and think, where is this come in? What am I going to have to change? And then think of the steps that come next. Otherwise, you'll lose focus.
Yeah, there's so much going on out there. Just a little too much. There's so much going on out there. On this platform, it's not too bad. We have our head chief referee is an English speaker. All of our spotters and loaders are English speakers, but not all of our referees are English as their first language.
Correct, and that's actually part of the IPF rulebook. You are a higher ranked or highly sought after referee if you are able to fluently speak and converse in English. If you are not, you become a regional referee for whatever country you're in.
Yeah, and even if they're fluent in English, if all our spotters and loaders are native English speakers, accents cause some problems. There's stress, there's frustration and anxiety. It gets harder to hear and listen. David Kroll from Poland wants 205.
I almost detect a Texas accent when you say growl.
Ladies and gentlemen,
I assure you I'm not from Texas.
Oh, good.
And he stands that back up.
Really strong lift.
And he gets 2 white lights just behind that same side.
That is something that I figured
You didn't
seeing.
recognise my Belarus accent?
No, not at all.
Wow.
No Australian at all in there.
Bell Australian. Evan Glasgow from the US of A wants 205. The WWE has the Rock. The IPF has the tree trunk.
He reminds me of a very young Mike Zelowinski. If you look at his face,
Yeah, I think you're right.
right?
That is a great squat and a great pick for the numbers by the coaches there.
Textbook
3
under
three
squat.
white lights.
Third squat of Evan.
Timur Kazanov, Kazakhstan wants 212.5.
Our final squat of this round of this session.
212.5 kilograms. That is a monster squat for a
That is our
74
heaviest
sub-junior.
squat from both
That will
weight
give
classes.
him the gold medal for the squats.
468.5 pounds. For
That puts him in a
non-
really solid position to chase down the gold medal overall.
If he achieves this, this is 7.5 more than anybody else's squat, first of all. Nice solid spot to be in.
Bars loaded for Marcilio Vinicius Silva. Brasil.
Handles it
strong.
well. Let's see what the referees say about his depth.
Kazakhstan gold medal winner.
And he's high enough. He's got 2 white lights and 1 red, and that gets his 212.5.
And as we stated before, there's the 1 red light for depth.
And that is the end of our squat session. We're going to take a 5-minute break, give these guys a little bit of a rest, and they'll be out for their bench press. Welcome back for the bench press this afternoon at the 2018 IPF Classic Powerlifting World Championships. I've got Rebecca Main in the commentary box, national coach, IPF referee and lifter. We're drawing on her experience to talk us through some of the things that are happening this evening. But we have got a fantastic lineup of bench, and this young man from Belarus, Albert Stagovic, is looking at 85 kilograms. Not only is he a great lifter and someone to watch out for in the years to come, he is probably one of the nicest kids, so humble that you will ever meet.
I love when there's that personal story.
Great opening lift. They picked that number really well.
Really nice bar path. His happens to be quite straight. Sometimes people will say to have it drift back over your eyes. His is straight down, straight up.
He's a fantastic arch on him too. Gets that chest right up high.
He has quite an arch for a young man. He does.
Takahiro Kariya from Japan, looking for 85 kilograms.
And we see a little bit of difference with the bench presses in this weight class. We have a few that are lower, and then it jumps quite dramatically, and we have about 4 that are.
Yeah, bench is always an interesting one, particularly in the juniors and the younger weight classes. You'll have some guys that are just sort of naturally built and just natural benches. But in this sort of weight class and these young lifters, the bench is going to take a little while to get right and develop.
It's very true. I've coached enough in my life to know some people have it initially right away, and some it takes a few years, but once they have it, it's there forever.
Philip Kim looking for 90 kilograms all the way from Singapore. Getting those shoulders underneath as far as he can.
Now, as a referee for bench press, the first thing we're looking for is making sure that their feet are flat and that their buttocks is firmly on the bench and stays there.
Oh, he might have overextended opening lift a little bit.
It's almost as if it drifted too far back, or he didn't get it in the bar path that he intended.
Yeah, and if you miss that bar path, I mean, you've been training that same bar path over and over again, the neural pathways are set for it, you get a little bit out of line.
I noticed his elbows were out quite a bit. And
yeah, he did flare his elbows out a little bit.
I noticed that with younger lifters, they definitely let the elbows go out right away.
Ben Harriet from Canada looking for 90 kilograms. Yeah, look, and you often see that, particularly in new lifters to powerlifting. They come from gyms, where they're knocking out reps of 10 and just doing it the way they've been told to at the gym, and their elbows are out, and it's all shoulder work. And then, we've got to reteach to pop the elbows in a little bit, let the chest do some work.
And we definitely want to isolate.
And I think, if I remember rightly, a lifter from Singapore, that was a good lift, is being coached by an Australian,
Interesting.
Adam Michaels.
That's where your experience comes in.
Who is also a very, very experienced powerlifter, won multiple national titles in Australia, and I think competed in Belarus last year.
Excellent.
Bartosz Warszak from Poland wants 100 kilograms.
Back to what I was mentioning. In training, you want to isolate, but when you're lifting in the bench press, you want to utilize every little bit of your body, going from the heels straight up to the posterior chain, and then activating everything in the back and arms.
Yeah, and it's something quite new when you get a new powerlifter and you talk to them about it being a whole body lift.
It's really hard to visualize at that age.
That was a nice lift there.
Very clean.
3 white lights, very smooth opening lift, and that's what you want for an opening lift. Nice and smooth, you don't want to work too hard, you want to leave some in the tank, you've got deadlifts to go yet. It's a long day. Junpei Morales from Japan, 102.5. Now the Japanese lifters, as we know traditionally, have a great history of bench press. Well, let's see if his technique on bench is as good as it was on squats.
In keeping with the tradition that we see a lot of with Japanese lifters, getting that super high arch, then setting his feet and his buttocks.
Getting that chest up as much as you can, getting that decline angle, reducing the range of motion. Wow.
And
We
when
made
you can
good
have,
use of that.
when you can have your hands all the way out at that 81 centimeter mark, why not utilize that to make that bar path
you
even
need
shorter?
to use everything you can within the rules.
Only a few times I've seen that backfire when somebody is so strong through the posterior chain that their buttocks actually leaves the bench press.
Solomon Turkey from France, looking for 107.5. Now he had a very, very rough start to the day.
Yes, he did, but I'm glad that they figured out he was wearing a bar grip t-shirt before the bench press.
Before the bench.
That would have been catastrophic to not have found it and to get all the way to the bench press, where that actually is what that bar grip is utilized for more.
Very much. He's got 107.5 on the bar.
Was overturned by the jury. This is no lift. That's correct. So Michael
Got a
said
nice arch. He's got that chest up high. And he is clearly much more confident on the bench than he is
It
on the
appears
squat.
so.
And he gets 3 white
The
lights.
tricky thing with this, we were just talking about having the hands all the way out. You can have that index finger all the way to the 81 centimeter mark. That's when you can have your elbows out.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
Biomechanically, there's no other way. Where are they going to go?
Nope, there is no other way. Stephen Gassett from the US of A, 132.5. This is a monster bench press for a 66 kilo sub
It
junior.
is our highest opener at 292.1 pounds. Raw Stephen Gassert.
Michael say USA. USA on one USA.
On a personal note, he is my hero. Answers every Facebook message and is kind with everyone I've ever seen. Good strong setup.
Nice opening lift. He's very well proportioned for squat and bench press.
He intelligently allows the bar to sink before that press call.
Yeah, look, I've seen a few lifters over the past few years that do that. I mean, it works well for them.
All right, Stephen, it's fine.
And anybody paying attention to the rules would understand that if there's any sort of downward motion after press, that becomes problematic.
Yeah, after the press call, he can't sink any further. But if he sinks it in before the press call and then stops the bar, that is well within the rules.
Everything in his back was tight, so he utilized it perfectly like a rubber band.
Albert Stankovic from Belarus, 90 kilograms.
It's as if you know about Belarus when you say that.
Harsh loading. Give me a round of applause for Junior World Record taker Blake Review.
Getting that arch, getting that chest up as high as you can. It's a good choice for a second lift.
Really
You have to
solid.
work hard, but
Really solid.
not over the top.
It's
He
not
gets
going to
3
take
white
away
lights.
from his third. He'll have plenty of strength to come back.
Yeah, that's one thing you don't want to do, particularly on the bench press, is just overreach on that second lift. Have to work so hard
That was a
and
stunning.
take it out of
Our earlier session where I was refereeing, many of the young ladies took much too heavy of a lift.
the. Yeah,
on the
we
second.
just. I was commentating on that previous session with the ladies as well, and
It
we
was
did note
odd.
that they were taking some rather big jumps, and we often say, from coaching as well, but especially with junior female lifters, 5 kilo jump is a big jump
In
for a
bench
female
press.
bench press.
in that weight class? Yeah.
He's having to work hard for this, but he gets it to the top. Philip Kim.
Coming from a referee's eyes on that last lifter from Singapore, he has an unconventional lockout. His one arm does not appear to be locked out all the way when he starts.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a physiological problem already at the start.
It seems to be. As he ends, it's very similar at the end. But that's what we notice as referees.
Takahiro Korea from Japan looking for 95 kilograms.
If you hear a little back chatter, that may be a USA coach talking to the jury.
Now the USA coaches are very, very experienced and know exactly when to go to the jury. Now he got that back up. It didn't come up evenly, but it doesn't have to come up evenly either.
Well, that's a perfect case of when you can do that and it's still technically a good lift.
As long as the bar doesn't dip down,
No downward
it'll
path.
come up.
I say it all the time, it does not have to be pretty.
That's right. An ugly lift can still be a good lift.
I've seen many that way.
Ben Harriott from Canada looking for 95 kilograms.
And each of these lifters are slowly inching their way up. Maybe 5 kilogram jumps,
Yeah, I mean,
7.5.
this is a smart play. Don't take too big of jumps. Just add the kilos here and there. That was a great second lift at 95 kilograms, really fast.
Actually, something that surprised me a bit is right as he said start, the lifter had a little bit of that kind of that head movement.
Yeah, I've seen that a few
Curious
times.
if they were going to notice that,
You know, you might get away with it once.
right?
Probably won't get away with it twice.
It happened exactly when he said start. Maybe that's the difference. In my mind, it's still head movement, and I watched more closely the second time.
Bartosz from Poland wants 105.
It's an excellent first name. I like the S and the Z together.
I always enjoy reading Polish names.
Good for you.
And that's a good lift.
I would take a wild guess that he likes bench press more than squat.
He certainly seems to be enjoying himself out there.
He does. Squat, he came out. Maybe the first lift is more nerves, but this he's much more comfortable.
Shinpei Marais from Japan looking for 107.5. He has got a great technique.
I'm gonna watch him get that arch.
He
Gets his
has
toes
pushed
all
that
the way on
technique to the edge.
all the way on the bench. We saw all of his teammates do this earlier in the female sessions. Same exact setup.
Yeah, their technique has been well proven over the years. Some of the great bench presses coming out of Japan. Very, very big sport over there. Got himself a little bit offline with
Little
the
drift.
start call and had to regather, but
It started to
he
come
managed to
towards
fix that.
his stomach. It drifted a little bit, like he was wearing a bench press
Yeah,
shirt.
it was almost like a shirt a little bit. So he just got in a little bit of a bad position, but he managed to pull it back. Solomon Turkey from France looking for 115 kilograms.
If I wasn't paying attention and you said Turkey was from France, I might get that backwards.
That could be confusing.
France from Turkey? Some of our lifters have excellent hair.
They are very stylish today.
That young crowd,
I have no hair, so any hair.
and I
Is
have all
excellent.
of it. So that's fine. Anybody that knows me knows it's quite long.
Solomon France had a rough start to the day, but boy, he's really shot back, hasn't he?
Very similar arch setup. to our Japan lifter.
A little bit too much for him there.
I almost wonder if it got too far down his body.
Yeah, look, you're a 66 kilo lifter, you've got 115 kilos, so you're getting close to double body weight here. You get a little bit offline.
Right. Even the smallest tiny
Yeah, I mean,
fraction of a centimeter.
technique in this bench is so important, and you throw that line off just a little bit. Sometimes a weight that can be easy every day of the week all of a sudden becomes hard.
Even 20 years later for me, and I think I set up like this every day, I have to do it the same when I lift in a meet.
Absolutely.
We have Stephen Gassett.
Stephen Gassett, here we go. 140 kilos from the US of A. He's certainly growing on me, this kid.
It won't take long.
He has been absolutely exceptional so far.
308 pounds.
Very, very well pressed. Two white lights. Now he's got a red light there.
He has a yellow card red light from his left-hand side referee. And I'm wondering if the left-hand side referee is seeing any sort of change in the elected position. When you start the lift, shoulders, head, feet, and buttocks must be on the bench press. If that changes in any way, that could be a yellow card.
Well, two white lights is enough.
You only need two.
Albert Stankovic coming out for his third lift at 92.5. This is a smart move. He put on 5 for his first to his second. Now just 2.5. Just making sure he gets those extra kilos. He's driving it up. He's pushed through there. And I imagine
Looks like a perfect choice for him.
he's being coached by a very good coaching team. Dennis Denisov, the Vice President of the Belarus Powerlifting Federation.
Now, coaches come in all shapes, but some of the most reserved, quiet coaches are really the most intelligent.
Yeah, there we draw on that. Philip Kim looking at 92.5 kilograms.
He's got quite a large belt for bench press. I don't often see a full-size SBD belt for bench press.
Yeah, I mean,
Pretty stiff.
it is interesting because the SBD is a 13 mil belt. They're a very big unit, and it can interfere with the arch just a little bit, and that was just a little bit too much for him.
With such a short torso on that last lifter, it just seems like a little bit thick of a belt to be wearing.
Yeah, and that's something they might change later on.
Either a very small, thin belt or none at all.
Takahiro Korea from Japan wants 100 kilograms.
Of course, all that is just conjecture on my part coming from the coaching brain.
Oh, look, a 13 mil SBD belt is a big belt to be wearing on bench for a 66 kilo lifter.
We were seeing them on 43 kilogram ladies this morning. It's a thick belt,
Probably weighs more than them.
I would think.
It's a nice touch, but just can't get the power off the chest.
And he hinted that it wasn't going to come up. We saw some space
Yeah,
underneath the
just
buttocks.
couldn't stop it that quick, and his butt was already lifting. It's so important to get that power drive straight off the chest with the call and that momentum. Van Harriet, a Canadian, looking for 100 kilograms and to go 3 from 3.
Got a really nice color scheme. A lot of red and black.
A lot of red and black out there. Thrown in some white for some extra.
It is in the Canadian flag. I would think they'd want that.
Handled that very well.
Well
Didn't
done.
have to overextend himself and really fight. And leaves a little bit of energy in the tank to finish out in the deadlift. And that's the experience of the coaches there, knowing it's a long day. You've still got bench press to go yet, deadlift to go.
We get to bench press twice?
Why not? It's one of my favourite lifts. And I do like deadlift as well.
I suppose anybody that sees me knows that it's squat for me. Thank you.
Looking for 107.5 from Poland.
I come from a squatting high school when I was very young. You take on the trends of your coaches.
Well, I think you do tend to. Got a very particular routine for his setup. And he gets it to the top. Was there any downward movement? We'll wait and see. Gets the 3 white lights. He had to work for that.
I caught myself watching his 1 foot. It did not lift, but the toes were doing a little jazz move.
It's a little bit of 5-toe tap.
Uh-huh. Is that jazz hands but with toes?
Jazz feet.
Jazz toes.
Shinpei Moraes from Japan. He has been exceptionally outstanding on the bench press. His squat technique was bang on point. His bench is on point. Let's see how he handles 112.5.
They have really even jumps. A little bit bigger from their second to third, but nice and even across the board.
He's opening up. Hey, how many kilos opening more?
Don't forget, if we're watching this at home, we have 2 streams, 2 platforms. If you're very tech savvy, you can stream both those platforms at once. I'm not. Oh, he's a bit out of line there.
Just
Looks like
slid
his
right
right
out of
arm
place.
just gave way a little bit there. Yeah.
I almost wonder when you're looking at the, not that the fabric should ever do the work, but when you look at the fabric of his singlet, it's so slippery. Anything that he set on it just took, the inertia just took it.
Solomon Turkey from France.
Thank you. I need
Looking
that
at
sometimes.
115 kilograms. I'm looking forward to seeing Gassett from the US putting a 142.5. And Solomon missed this one.
It's a pronounced jump to see the second to last lifter, the penultimate lifter go 115, and then the final 142.5.
Solomon missed this on his second. And he really needs this. He had a rough trot on his squats. He's only hit one of his benches. He needs to put this one on the board. Or some other athletes are going to be trying to peg him down for the gold medal.
Right.
And he struggled with this one as well.
A little too much.
Yeah. He hasn't really picked his numbers very well today.
Well, what it does is it leaves Gassert in striking distance. He's only 2.5 away with the projected number.
Yeah, look, if Turkey hadn't had a second lift in his squat, a second lift in his bench, a successful one,
Right.
it's an extra 10 kilos onto his projected total.
And
all
we're
of
only
a sudden,
looking at the
Gassett's got
declared
his striking range.
deadlift. We're only looking at that first deadlift. We don't know where Gassett's going to go.
Yeah, and watching what Gassett's been doing so far, Turk better watch out, because he's coming for him.
The young man from France started quite heavy, and I know that USA would not start Gassert heavy.
And here comes Stephen Gassett, 142.5. This is a big bench press on any scale, an even bigger one when you're 66 kilos in a sub-junior.
That's 314 pounds.
And he's pushed this back up. That was a beautiful lift.
Strong.
3 white lights. And the great thing about that third lift was he didn't really have to grind. He has 6 for 6. He hasn't had to grind for that third lift. He is still fresh for the deadlift. Now the
Perfectly metered.
Solomon that he's chasing down has had to work for every single lift. He's going to come out with the deadlift absolutely beaten up.
First, second, and third are within up
It is going to be a deadlift party.
10, 12.5 kilos of each other.
We're
Of
into
course,
the
that's just
74s.
openers.
Matthew Robinson to open with 95 in the 74s.
It'll be nice to see his confidence come back for bench press after such a weird squat. Perfect.
Very nice opening lift. Gets on the board.
Now, I told you before, I tend to look at shoes as a referee. And the shoes that he was wearing are the type that you wear for deadlift, but they curl when you bench press.
Yeah, and we've actually seen a lot of athletes in the past actually have a little trouble with that,
You're not getting your
down
feet flat.
And I just actually had an athlete compete in Australia last weekend who had to change his shoes.
A
Because
lot
he
of
couldn't
people
get his feet
wear
flat.
those quote-unquote chucks, Chuck Taylors, but if you wear them for more than 6 months of a training session, they start to curl.
Ikuma Ishikawa from Japan wants 107.5.
And now I've actually seen this same technique for setup adopted in the United States from a state that I'm actually in.
A little bit crooked on his lift there. Might be just a physiological thing.
Always make sure your weight got to the standard.
Before you start unloading.
Yeah. Happens.
Yeah, look, and it's a tough
There's
job
a safety
out there.
there, but you don't really want that to win.
Rick de Groot from Belgium, 115 kilograms. He's got long arms and a long way to move that bar.
And I mean, we creep closer and closer to twice body weight just for openers here.
Rick's got 115 kilos on the bar.
Just clip the rack on the way up.
And that's allowed.
Shouldn't be too much problem. He didn't slide it or lean it or use it for any support. And he gets the
is
3 white
verbiage.
light.
If there's any sort of support given by the rack, that would be deemed a yellow card.
Yeah, every now and then someone clips the rack. It doesn't help them in any way. If
Just
anything, it
remember
probably
to set
hinders
up.
them.
Just remember to set up a little further from the rack next time.
Nadia Shokotov from Kazakhstan wants 122.5. Very, very nice opening lift.
If you don't hear from me for a moment, I'm mesmerized. Every once in a while, a lifter just, their technique is flawless. I watch.
Evan Glasgow, USA, looking for 130 kilograms.
Now, this is the man with the shorter levers. And we noticed that he's just perfection on his setup. So hopefully that translates into bench press.
He is very, very well made for bench press. He's that quite thick upper body. His arms aren't too long. He hasn't got to move the bar too far. The only disadvantage he gets from his size is probably can't arch quite as much as the Japanese lifter. But he does have quite a big arch for a young man of his build. He pushes that to the top and he gets 3 white lights.
And anybody watching the live stream may have noticed that he tightened up and straightened his arms a little bit. It looks like the extra musculature that he has makes it appear that he's not fully straight
Yeah, and look, the referees have been around for a long time, and they understand. Everyone's body's different. Everyone looks a little bit different, and they learn. And this is why we have referee exams. Timur Kasanov from Kazakhstan wants 130.
All right, here we go.
He is trying to get out in front.
The bar is loaded for Eddie Berglund, Sweden. He's taking it up.
Those long legs are what he's using to get the arch.
He's in a fantastic position, doesn't he? And look at that. That was a very smooth 130.
Both long legs and long arms.
Eddie Berglund's got 205.
3 white lights.
A 453-pound man.
David Kroll, Poland, wants 140.
Our heaviest opener for the 74-kilogram sub-junior men.
And that is a solid opening lift.
308.6 pounds. I have to translate for all of us that
To
don't
translate
use metric.
for, we just have to translate for the American team.
Well, that would be what I am.
The rest of the world is still using the metric system.
Sure. Very close set with his feet.
He gets 3 white lights. He's on the board with 140.
Now, with such a close set, as I mentioned, he had, that usually triggers a referee to look for the back of his feet. They may not be getting down if he has his feet that close together near the bench press standard.
Matthew Robinson, he wants 100 for his second.
Once again, he has those wrestling style shoes, so my eye is drawn to
Yeah,
them.
and you can see these on the live stream. I'm not sure if you can. You can see the curl in the feet.
But it does say as flat as the shoe will allow.
Yeah, and it's not that his feet aren't flat. It's just the shoe has a curve in it. A good experienced referee knows the difference between a curl in a shoe and a flat foot. Ishikawa from Japan wants 112.5. His 107.5 looked absolutely fantastic. I can't imagine 112.5 being any trouble for him. Ishikawa from Japan.
Two lifters left to change their openers. Platform 2. Platform 1. 2 lifters left to change their openers.
It's a very, very tight setup. Has to work for that one a little bit more, but gets it to the top. Be interesting to see what he does for his second, third lift, and has he got much more in the tank?
Well, it did give him a little bit of
Still got a little bit of
trouble.
wiggle room there, but that was a tough lift, particularly with that
His
range of
arch
motion.
slowly flattened just a bit on the second lift there.
De Groot from Belgium, 122.5.
Now, I mentioned some of our lifters have nice hair. This is a very nice hair on this gentleman. Probably can't see it in bench press as much.
De Groot for 122.5. Has to work. Really used the momentum of the bar quite well there. Moved into that J line that we often see, and he's really used the speed of the ball to push it up.
contrary to some of those lifters that have that straight bar path, his definitely had that backwards J feel to
I'm
it.
not entirely sure if he did it intentionally, but it worked
Possibly
for him.
not.
Shakatov from Kazakhstan wants 130. It's a 7.5 kilo jump, which for a 74 kilo sub junior is a fairly hefty bench press jump.
It's really the team's or country's coaching philosophy. Some take their bigger jump from 1 to 2, and some take a bigger jump from 2 to 3, or all together.
Yeah, and it's also important on how you train as well. Well, you've got some of these lifters that are actually used to training like this and used to taking bigger
Right.
jumps, and your assistant's prepared for it. But if you're not prepared for it and you're not used to it and you put a big jump on competition, that can be mistakes.
I come from a long past of larger jumps because I liked my opener to feel very confident.
Yeah, and that's a really good philosophy. You want that open to feel really confident because then you've got the room to take that bigger jump.
But that switches completely when I start to coach elite lifters. Elite lifters can be in that top 5% of their maximum lift, and that's fine with them.
Evan Glasgow, the walking tree trunk for 135.
So they grow them tall in Canada, and they make them strong tree trunks in the United States.
It appears so.
All right.
That was an absolutely fantastic press for a second lift. He's got
Well
plenty more in the
placed.
tank.
And now his coach has a lot of experience, not only as a lifter, but as a coach as well, and I'm not surprised even the slightest.
Timur Kasanov from Kazakhstan, 135. Now he is putting himself in a really good position to take the world championship here. If he can just be consistent.
He's slowly pulling away, and it's easy to see if you're watching on the live stream and you pull up those numbers. He's got quite a bit of room right now.
Yeah, look, and it's the consistency, just getting those numbers, chipping away. A couple of kilos here, a couple of kilos there, and before you know it, you've created a gap. And that was another great second lift choice. 3 white lights.
Well, you can see the experience in the lifter himself, but the coaching choices are very smart. Looks like our highest second bench press.
150 from Kroll from Poland. It's a big, solid bench for such a young man. 18 years of age.
And I really hope he transitions. He has all the maturity he needs to be a great lifter. He already is.
Wow, really getting up on those shoulders.
I'd like to see a replay of that. Goodness sakes. That's like an art.
And he pushed it to the top.
Excellent.
Gets 3 white lights and 150 is on the board.
I mean, I think the only thing that could have been better was speed, and not all lifters are fast.
Yeah, we talk about drawing on the fast twitch fibers. And we talk
We wanna
about
use
that, and
those
we
type
talk
2.
about speed, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to move fast. It's
Right.
the explosive power.
And you look at that young man's body type, he looks, in my opinion, to have a mixture of type 2 and type 1. He's not just one type. So in the beginning of the lift, he had that type 2, he utilized it, fired off the chest, and then in the end, he used all of that endurance type 1.
Robertson from Canada wants 105.
He's done so much better with this bench press than he had with the squat.
Having to work hard, but I don't think he's going to get there.
It's that sticking point. I thought he'd give it a ride. It was so close.
Yeah, he certainly gave it a good run, but just couldn't get it over the edge.
We saw 2 of those in the earlier session today from the
We
young
did.
ladies. I was astounded.
And there were certainly a couple of lists when we were calling that we didn't expect them to drive all the way through, and they did. Which is very, very impressive.
As a referee, sometimes when those happen, it's really hard not to react. You sit in the chair and go, oh,
Ishikawa from Japan looking at 117.5.
nice even jumps for him, 5 kilograms each time. And our 74 kilogram press is looking quite nice. A lot of green currently. Good lifts.
117.5 for Ishikawa. A little bit too much for him. But he gave it everything he had.
I almost wonder if he had gone 115, if that would have been the perfect money.
Yeah, look, the 112.5 wasn't overly challenging. He did get a little offline though.
True.
And the 117.5, and you're right. I mean, a 115, be a little bit conservative, puts an extra 2.5 kilos on the board.
When he becomes a junior, that may make all the difference. That extra 2.5 would be easier for him at that point. More experience.
125 for De Groot from Belgium.
And I don't think you can see it on the live stream, but his coach has a lovely squat right now.
Wow, he's had to work hard for that, but he gets it to the top. And he gets the 3 white lights.
Don't know if I could
Timur
have picked that any better.
Kasanov is our next lifter from Kazakhstan, 137.5. And Kroll, as from Poland, has put in a 155. That's a huge lift for a sub-junior 74 kilo.
So our final lifter may be going for a record with that 0.5 extra on the 155. Otherwise, they
Oh yeah,
wouldn't-
155.5.
allowed
Yeah,
it.
that's got to be a record.
So there'll be chips on the bar in about 4 lifters.
Has to be a record.
Otherwise, it's 2.5 kilogram
2.5 jumps. Very smooth lift.
You said it. He is making incredibly smart choices.
He is just adding little bits here, adding little bits there. And you look at his total now, he is 30, nearly 30 kilos in front on projected totals.
That's how you pull away without
Making
anybody
it
even
very,
noticing.
very hard for anyone to catch him. Evan Glasgow. Here he comes. You can't miss him. 140 kilograms.
Now our second and third place lifters are actually quite close to each other. The one's gonna go for the record soon, and then our second place with projections is up right now.
So this will temporarily keep Glasgow in third position for the bench press. But Shakatov is coming in for a 140 as well, and he's a little bit lighter. Gets a really nice lift on that. And 3 white lights.
That just adds a little bit more to his total, and we'll see if our next lifter can.
Now he actually has given himself the silver medal for the bench press.
Yeah, we'll see if his
And
next lifter can
Shakatov
best him a little.
Pulls or pushes the 140, he'll sneak away and take that silver medal off him.
It's a larger jump. Glasgow took a smaller, only 5
A
kilogram
10
jump
kilo jump on your third lift is a big call.
on bench press.
And it was a bit too much. And Glasgow will hang on to the silver medal in the bench press. But Kroll is going to come out at 155.5, which I imagine is the world sub-junior record. They're chipping
And
the
you are
bar,
correct.
and there it is, the world sub-junior record.
Now our spotters and loaders walk over to that jury table and they procure a few of the what we call chips. They're very small. They're either 0.25 or 0.5.
So Americans call them chips.
Yeah, we call
In
them
Australia,
chips.
we call them change plates.
Change plates. That's something I
It's a
didn't
small
know.
change,
Small change. We call them chips because they're very small.
and they're not very tasty.
I've never tried. I don't think I want to.
So we have 155.5. We have a sub-junior world record from Kroll from Poland. This is a huge bench press on any standard. It makes it even bigger given this kid is sub-junior. He's 18 years of age and he weighs in at 73 kilograms.
Almost 343 pounds.
This is a monster lift. His work just couldn't quite get there. He gave it everything he had though.
Really
What
thought
a
he had
huge
it.
attempt. Yeah, I thought he was going to grind through, but just couldn't get there. Well, that is the end of our 74 kilo bench press. We're going to take 5 minutes while we get ready and come back to see these guys battle it out for the deadlift.
And the meet doesn't start until the bar hits the floor.
The deadlift platform where gods are made and egos are destroyed. Welcome back to the 2018 IPF Classic Powerlifting World Championships, brought to you by our fantastic sponsors Alico and SBD, who have stood behind these competitions for so long now. And there's nothing I like looking at more than those red plates stacked on an Alico bar. It's just something special about it.
So beautiful. For anybody who's in powerlifting, it's like art.
Yeah, look, if you're not a powerlifter, you probably don't understand, but that is artwork for us. Philip Kim looking at 150 to open his deadlift campaign. That's a good, solid opening lift. His coach will be making some smart choices here. Albert Stankovic from Belarus, looking at 152.5.
I believe that sometimes my partner here says names just to make me giggle.
There is a possibility. He's such a nice kid. I just always want to see him make his lifts.
It's the humble ones that drive the sport.
And it really is, you know, and it's these kids that are the future of our sport. He gets one red light there from the right-hand side.
I'm not entirely surprised by that. He locked out so fully that he went back and may have unlocked that knee to that referee's point of view.
Good pickup. Ben Harriet from Canada wants 155. And big credit to the spotters and loaders out there. These guys have got to be getting tired by now.
I know some of them do 3 sessions in a day and come right back the next day and are happy and chipper to go.
It's a monster job. I know one of our chief spotters and loaders out there standing on the end. He has been up there, I think, nearly every single day.
Indeed, he has. I've been here. I've seen it.
And Ben Harriet puts that one on the board. Now,
I complimented them last session on getting the weight, rolling it into the deadlift jack with one smooth motion, as if it were some sort of choreographed item.
all right, Stephen Gassett from the US of A, 170. Been looking forward to see him deadlift, just to see how much he's got in the tank. And can he peg down Turkey?
He really looks to have a lot of strength left, and he's currently with projections in second.
And he hasn't had to work as hard as Turkey either. He's still got a lot in the tank. He looks fresh.
But that third place person is right behind him.
So he's got 2 jobs. He's got to defend his silver and go after the gold. And he has plenty left in there. 3 white lights.
Just a nice opener.
That's a good choice in the opening lift.
Good
And we've
training
seen
lift is what it
Turkey.
feels like when it's a
We've
good
seen
opener.
Turkey in all his other 3 lifts. He's only got his opening lifts. He might be the same in the deadlift.
He's pretty strong across the board. Anytime that I've been on the coaching team and watched him lift, you don't really see the stress or the cracks in the facade.
Takahiro Korea from Japan looking for 185. Got himself a little bit offline and let the bar bully him forward there.
And unfortunately, there's not really a way to come back
There
from
is
that.
pretty much nothing you can do about it. Once it pulls forward like that, you know, the center of gravity and the leverage, you're not going to pull it back. And if you're 120 plus kilo lift, you might have a shot at it. But
It's
you're
really intelligent of him to just set it down.
you're a 66 kilo lifter. You're not pulling that back.
Yeah. He got off the ground so fast, it just surprised him.
Shinpei Moraes from Japan, 185.
We see a style of shoes from him that looks similar to a slipper, but it's really just a slip-on simple shoe.
Yeah, it does look a lot like one of the deadlift slippers, but it has got a sole. In the deadlift, we aim to get the foot as close to the ground as possible with as little shock absorption as possible.
Excellent lift. And when he put it down, something that maybe isn't known to most, you can actually, after you get that down command, turn those toes in to avoid hitting your
Yeah,
own.
so make sure there's a rule in there so you can actually move their feet once the down command. Athlete safety is really, really important in the IPF.
Having over 400 pounds hit your toe is not a good feeling.
It's not something you want to end your week on.
No.
Bartosz from Poland, 205. It's a really strong kid.
He wins the hair award in this flight for me.
You can see just how close his toes are to those plates. Hence the rule that we're allowed to move our feet in.
Almost don't think there's any space.
Wow, has he been able to lock that out? Let's
Curious
see.
to see.
He did get a red light.
Not
He got
surprised.
2 whites.
That red light is for when you are not fully locked out, and it could be shoulders or knees or both. His, in my opinion, would have been knees.
Yeah, his knees didn't quite look locked. Solomon Turkey from France. Now this is an interesting one to watch. He has only hit his opening squat, his opening bench, and he's well in front. But if he can only get his opening deadlift,
But we've seen this time and time again, if they're only hitting one out of each lift and then have trouble in the deadlift.
yeah, and he's
It really sets
expelled
your
a
mind
lot
askew.
of energy in those other lifts as well.
And I believe his deadlift slippers have the word strength on them.
They are. That is from Strength Shop in Japan. He gets the two. He got no lift on 215, so he's already
Unfortunately,
struggling.
He had not gotten that down command. He was at
He
the
put
top.
it down very fast, didn't wait. So he's put himself under pressure again. Albert Stankovic from Belarus, looking for 160.
Now, I don't like to talk about myself too much, but I notice the flags when we look at their names being projected. And if you were here, you could definitely see their names projected and their weight in kilos and pounds. But I like to learn the flags. They're so interesting to me.
Yeah, we get the flags for each one. There were a couple earlier today that I actually had to look up.
No surprise, there are very, very many countries here this time around. I believe the most delegations ever.
Oh, he's working hard for this. Just a little bit too much. He gave it everything he had, though.
That's an interesting
His
fault.
152.5 was quite within reason.
Right.
Wouldn't have imagined that that would have caused too much problems, but may have
Such
just
a
had his setup a
strange-
little bit off. Philip Kim looking for 160.
But I can tell you, if you are sumo deadlifting and not in your groove and not leaning back all the way, it can make all the difference.
Yeah, I mean, sumo is one of those lifts where it is so technique and technical based. If you're a little bit off from your technique, you're just not going to pull it. Conventional, on the other hand, you've got a little bit of wiggle room.
And I know with my youngest lifters, I do have both types, both styles, and seeing the levers of some of my lifters, I can take a guess at what would work for them. But the conventional is going to be your bread and butter for those that are just learning. Sumo can be very discouraging if it doesn't come off the ground for a young
You
lifter.
really have to be quite confident and know that you've just got to keep pulling. The fight is on the ground.
Exactly.
And the great thing about a conventional lift, particularly for your bigger guys, is if you make a few little errors, you can muscle your way out of it a little bit and get it back in line.
Right, I call it the squish zone. When you're a bigger person, you can kind of squish through it. Not a technical term, anyone?
Not one we use much in Australia or Belarus. Ben Harriet looking for 165 from Canada. Handles that well.
Very strong.
It was a good choice for a second lift. Had to put a bit of work in, but still got something in the tank.
Very strong lift, had all the speed, and that's what you look for.
Now Solomon Turkey has missed his opener at 215, but he's put in a 217.5 for a second attempt. It's a pretty risky move.
I find so much pause with that, and this is coming from a coaching background.
It's a very risky move.
We talk in USA Powerlifting. If you don't achieve that first lift, there is no wiggle room. You must attempt it again.
Here he comes, Stephen Gassett.
All the fire in his eyes.
182.5, and all he needs to do and wants to do is his job. Listen to his coaches, put the numbers up. That was absolutely superb. Has a bit of a look to the head ref there. Says thank you very much.
Perfect. He definitely does. He comes from a background where he's going to want to be deliberate and tell that head referee that he's got it and he's done.
You really want to show confidence too, you know.
That's most of anything in this sport.
Yeah, you show the confidence. I've got this lift.
Yeah,
Takahiro Korea from Japan wants 190. So interesting. He missed his opening lift as well, and he's gone up to 190.
And he saw that he had that one flaw where he picked it up off the ground, fell out of that groove, and fell forward. We'll see if this translates to a good lift.
He got it up there. It was tough though.
And the head referee held him for quite a while. It looked like he needed just a tad more lockout.
He got the 3 white lights, but boy, it was a tough and risky lift.
Well, the risk paid off this time, but not a risk I would want to take.
Shinpei Moraes from Japan. He wants 195.
The second of our Japanese lifters in this weight class.
Taking his time with this setup.
There's a lot to be said for doing that with sumo deadlifts. Taking that
Yeah,
time.
you don't want to rush a sumo setup. And that's why, because if you set up right, you get the lift.
It's absolutely fine to have that fall backwards.
Yeah, the bar was already down.
Control the bar to the ground.
Yep, the bar was already down. He was in control. You know, the sumo lift with your legs so far apart, the balance is very, very difficult.
I mean, the
Can
whole
so easily be
point
thrown
is
off.
to be leaning all the way back, counteracting that weight that you are pulling off the
You're
ground.
using those levers. Bartos from Poland, 215. He looks determined. He gets
Second
those toes
highest
all the
deadlift
ways.
For our second attempt.
Just can't quite lock it out, I don't think. He's still got 2 white lights. Referees say
Not surprised by
that's
that.
enough.
From our vantage point, and obviously the live
Yeah, we're
camera's a
sitting
little
in
bit off.
front. We're down below the platform.
But that right hand knee for us is
And our
got some room
referees
for
sit
straightening.
in front and side. They have the perfect position to see everything. All right, here comes Solomon Turkey from France. Now he failed 215. He's put 217.5 on. A big
like a
call.
rerun from squat.
It's a big call, particularly given he is in the gold medal position. And he listened to the referee this time.
Now he got it, and it will be interesting to see where he goes because Stephen Gasser is
He's closed that gap, hasn't
literally pulling up with 2.5 kilos different.
He has closed that gap.
So any small mistake, Team USA, what they're going to do is potentially change that
And
third
their third
gasser
lift,
number.
they can change,
Yep.
and they will be tactical. Albert Stankovic looking for that 160 that he missed. It was quite unusual to see him miss that. But it's been a long day.
It was
He's had a
such
lot of travel.
slow ascent off the ground, as if it weren't moving.
Yeah, look, and it's interesting for some of these Eastern European teams. It's a long travel through time zones. Now, the Belarus team didn't arrive until a couple of days ago,
Oh.
so it's a lot of hard work.
And part of it, and they talk about it all the time. Altitude is different, temperature conditions are different,
Yeah, for these guys from Belarus, everything is different for them here.
and they're young,
The food's different,
right?
time, weather, the sunshine, everything's different for them. It takes its toll. Albert Stankovic. Just a little bit too much, but he's put in a great effort.
As Gino says, they turned on the magnets in the floor.
Yeah, look, I think they might have turned him up a little bit on that one.
That was rough.
But he's had a great day, and
You really only need that one lift in each discipline.
yeah, and he's got himself a total on the board at a World Championship event.
Exactly.
Philip Kim from Singapore.
Singapore, 127.5 on the bar platform.
This age group really learns a lot from as much from success as defeat.
Look, I think that's the greatest thing about a World Championships and being here as a sub-junior. If you're always winning, you don't learn.
I've seen that more times than I
And
can
sometimes
even explain.
you've just got to be here to get the experience. And he's got a long career ahead of him in lifting. And a little bit too heavy again for Philip Kim.
Turned on the gravity.
167.5 was a bit much. It's a long day of lifting. These guys are starting to get worn out, and it's starting to show. Ben Harriet looking for 175.5, 177.5. Been a long day. I'm getting tired, and I'm reading the numbers wrong.
There are numbers. Only joking, folks.
177.5 for Ben Harriet from Canada. And his bar is loaded.
It's a very aesthetically pleasing weight on the bar. There's 3 perfectly
I
red
do
plates.
like it when my OCD is fulfilled.
Sometimes load things for my lifters just because they look nice.
And if you've ever lifted on an Alico bar with Alico plates, you'll know the difference between your gym bars and your plates. Wow, what a fight! What a fight! He's still going. Not quite, just couldn't quite get there.
Really thought he could pull that one
Wow.
off. I have seen slow deadlifts in the past,
Wow.
but with his backward lean and his patience, it looked like it was going to go.
And a great job from the spotters there who actually made sure when he put that bar down, they were right there in case he had a bit of blood rush and fell over.
And that's one of those things that chief referees think about all the time. Do you really want a back spot? Not necessarily, but you want somebody at least there.
Stephen Gassett has put in 187.5.
So he's strategically making sure that he falls in that second place and being intelligent about his lifts. Whatever befalls after him looks to
And
be
interestingly, Turkey's put in a 225, which is a big call.
right, and we'll see if his confidence is strong enough.
Wow. What are you feeding these guys in the national team?
Wheaties!
Wheaties. 187.5, and he gets
And-
it on the board.
For all those people at home listening, I believe Steven just went 9 for 9.
He did. He's
And
gone 9 from
I
9
could
today.
not be more proud
You could not
than the
have
first
a
day I met
better
him.
day than that at a World Championships to go 9 from 9.
Just a fantastic
And he's
young
been
man.
very strategic and very tactical.
made excellent calls. I'm over the moon for Steven Gassert.
He is pretty much locked in the silver medal.
Now we have to watch to see what third
It'll be
does. If
interesting
they
to see.
changed weight, that could change. They can change their third deadlift.
They can put a change in.
For projections right now, it looks like Steven is second, and the gentleman up right now would be projected for fifth.
Korea from Japan. Just a bit much.
And that's the same gentleman that let it get out, drift forward that on that first deadlift too.
But his technique will improve over the years. He's still very young. Neural pathways are still learning.
I almost wonder if he thinks about activating his gluteus maximus, if that would change all of that.
Yeah, you know, it's all these little things that are going to develop over time now.
It sounds funny, but we tell our lifters all the time, you know,
Yeah, I mean, and you need reminding out there as well.
clench or something, do something.
Maurice from Japan, he wants 215. He's trying to get in on the action, maybe take home a bronze medal for the deadlift.
Currently sitting in fourth for total, but a third place deadlift medal would be quite nice.
Yeah, looks like he's going to take home a third place deadlift medal.
Because we medal for each individual discipline here. That's one thing that deadlifters actually can do.
Yeah,
You're on
so
the
the
platform, you can
only thing
adjust
you're
your
allowed to
belt.
adjust on the platform is your belt.
Correct.
Oh, he's had to work hard, but just couldn't quite get it there. But he has had a very, very good day.
Really a lot of maturity. You could see the frustration. He handled it well. So here's
Bartos
someone
from
hopefully
Poland.
changed. I believe he changed
He
his
did.
number.
He changed from 225 to 230. He's going to take a crack at stealing away the silver medal.
15
It's a
kilogram
big
jump.
call, though.
I'm not sure I would make that call, but you don't know
Yeah, look,
unless you try.
His bronze medal is secure.
True.
He can't lose that.
And that's when you usually drop that number. We call
Yeah.
it dropping because it's a small piece of paper with a weight change on it. You
so
drop it.
His position is secure. He can't lose the bronze medal. So he's going to throw some extra on and see if he can steal the silver medal from Gassett.
And he has all the fire to do it.
Out of all the lifters, he certainly has the fire to pull this off. Taking his time with it. And that's a bit too much for him, and he is very frustrated with himself. And I imagine his coach is going to have a little bit of a chat to him about that.
Unfortunately, that's not allowed on a platform. You do have a certain amount of time for exiting the building, so should we say.
So our next lifter there now, this is Solomon Turkey from France, looking for 232.5.
Well, what that did, that last lift, what it did is allow for Steven Gassert to make sure his total is second place for right now.
So Gassett will take home the silver. Can Turk pull
Let's
the
see if he
232?
can make a bigger divide for first. Either be within 7.5 or much more.
Wow, you know what? And that's a great finish for this kid. He had
Coming from that
such a
squat.
tough day.
Coming from that squat,
He had such a tough day on squat and then bench press to
Had a nice
finish on such a great lift like that
happy
and take
ending,
home the world championship.
that
Really is
double-
a fantastic
No,
end.
maybe I missed it. Did he have a double overhand hook grip for his first two?
Well, he did not. He had mixed grip on his
He
first two, and he
switched.
went hook grip on his last, and it was
Interesting.
a million times better on his lift.
I agree. I saw him do the double overhand and thought, What an interesting change.
So we're going to move into the 74s now and start off with Ishikawa from Japan with 180 kilograms.
And 180 kilograms is just shy of 400 pounds, so 396.8.
Roller for Michael.
Very nice opening lift there.
Excellent form. Once again, that Japanese team shows so much maturity in their lifting. They come, they do, they finish.
De Groot from Belgium wants 180 as well.
Loaded for Rick McCall, Belgium, job 180 kilos.
And forgive me, best hair award here, for this flight.
I do recognise that hair.
For
Even
such a tall
blows
gentleman.
in the wind.
We can ask him later if it blows in the wind. It is a little windy, cold in Canada.
It is a very cold day today in Canada.
This is normal from where I live.
Loaded Shakaba.
Shakata from Kazakhstan wants 180 as well.
And now you see this more and more lately where the lifter will actually have knee sleeves on.
Yeah, it's certainly become more common. I was talking to Piotr about knee sleeves yesterday on the deadlift. What's your thoughts on knee sleeves on the deadlift?
You know, it really depends. For me, if a lifter has the experience to understand how to utilize their knee sleeves to add that extra little pop out of the bottom, certainly go ahead and utilize them. If they're a newer lifter and trying to pull out all the bells and whistles, I usually say just wait.
All right, Kroll from Poland, 200 kilograms. And Kazanov from Kazakhstan is going to open at 240, which is a monster deadlift for a 74 sub junior. He's handled that beautifully.
It really comes in handy that these gentlemen with the long leg levers also have really long arms.
They're very well designed for conventional deadlift.
Exactly. They could do sumo, but it would be a pseudo sumo.
Robinson from Canada looking at 205.
Would you mind, are you...
Fun fact, I was a sophomore in high school when most of these people were born.
Fun fact, I was already well finished high school.
You just graduated the year before.
Yes, of course.
You must be 35.
Excellent lift from Robertson. Yes, let's go with 35.
Good. Now, you notice with that last lifter, he actually has what I would call like first position in ballet terms, where his heels are basically touching.
Yeah, turns his toes out a
And
little
he
bit.
turns his toes out. And that you'll see that from those longer, levered, tall young men. All of their power is going to come from behind.
Yeah, it's quite common. We often try to teach with the conventional deadlift to be perpendicular to the floor. We want their legs perpendicular so they can all the forces going into the ground and the opposing forces straight back up through the legs.
Now, on the complete opposite hand, we have much shorter levers with Evan.
That's a great setup and a great lift.
He was almost thinking about it. Am I done? Do I need to do another one?
I think he was just enjoying
That's what I would
the
do.
moment. Now, Krasanov from Kazakhstan with an absolute monster of an opening deadlift.
It's not unheard of, but 529.1 pounds.
Look, if he puts this on the
Just
board
wild.
successfully,
Just another
he
line
puts
of
himself
strong.
well out of
Kazakhstan.
reach.
Now, how do I say that? Kazakhstan?
Kazakhstan?
I was trying to think of how to say he's from Kazakhstan.
he a Kazakhstanian?
That was my guess. And
He just made 240 look like a warm-up.
right. Now, what the people on the live stream might not have heard is that chief referee said you must control the bar to the floor, hence that red card being yellow. You have to have control of the bar to the floor.
Yeah, correct. You have to control the bar all the way down, and you'll see some lifters every now and then let go of that bar a little bit too early, and they will get red lighted and no lift.
If it noticeably leaves the hand,
Rick
there's no
de
warning.
Groot from Belgium wants 192.5, and that 240 from Kazanov has put him well out in front on a 590 total. And he handles the 192.5 with ease.
I think this is the last name I could actually pronounce. Ishikawa.
Very nicely done.
I get one. And for anybody paying attention, this is day 5 out of 13 in this championship. It's rather long because we started with Masters, we've now begun Sub-Junior Juniors, and we will end with Open way next Sunday, a week from now.
It might be long, but my gosh, it has been exciting. Every
Very
single
fun.
day, multiple records dropping, multiple battles for world championship positions. And Ishikawa has to work hard with that. He does get it to the top, and the referees say it's a good lift.
Definitely had my eyes squinting just a hair for that. I squint when I'm thinking about whether there was downward movement.
Now the lift from Kazakhstan.
Kazakhstanian? Am I supposed to
Would
try
you
that
like
name?
to pronounce his name?
Shakatov?
Very good. Shakatov from
said
Kazakhstan,
Shakatov, sorry.
looking at 200 kilograms. So the secret is, puts it to the top and he gets a good lift. The secret is that we haven't told Rebecca is that we stay up very late at night practicing different names.
I had a funny feeling. I knew it.
David Kroll from Poland.
It seems like a smart practice. I teach choir and have been a music teacher for a while, and we do the same with music.
It works well. Kroll from Poland looking at 215 kilograms. Wow, handles that with ease.
And now I call that weight the Captain American because there are 3 reds and 1 blue. Looks like the Captain America shield to me.
Well, let's see if Matthew Robinson, the Canadian, can get the shield off the ground. 2:17.5.
That's a bit of a jump.
It's a fairly decent jump. It's been a long day of lifting for them. But the Canadian coaches have been very good this week at picking lifts, so
Certainly have.
and I'm so glad he didn't prove me wrong. That was a tough lift though
Once
for a
again with
second
that
lift.
ballet setup, he's in first position virtually.
All right, Evan Glasgow from the US of A, 2:27.5.
Now, this is, for Evan Glasgow, this is actually quite a bit of a jump. I almost have to think about the math in my head, but for a deadlift, not that bad.
Yeah, your deadlifts is one you can always take bigger jumps in, and some guys like to take, a fairly reasonable sized jump. It just works for their neural pathways. given Evans' build, I'm not too concerned about 227 and a half.
No, not
He
really.
handled 215 well.
501.5 pounds.
And you handle 227 and a half with ease.
I'm curious to see what he'll take for his third attempt.
Yeah, he's
Feels like
currently
he has
sitting
more.
in a very good position. And we've got Kasanov from Kazakhstan, 247 and a half. His 240 was quick.
Adding 7.5 kilograms is
And
reasonable considering how well the first one went.
it's always hard to tell at this time of day. It's been a long day of lifting for them. The 240 was fast. They're beaten up out there. They've been lifting all day. 247 and a half could come up really fast, or it might struggle. And he's running the time down. He's getting psyched up for this.
Well, what I tell my lifters all the time is this is mind over matter at this point. You may have all the strength in the world, but you need to just do it.
Wow, he handled that well, didn't he? 247 and a half. He's still got some in the tank.
And the same
Wow.
card, he believed that the chief referee believed that the lifter beat that down command.
Yeah, and he needs to listen to that chief referee's instructions. I mean, he knows what he's getting red lighted for. And if the chief referee keeps red lighting him for it and he doesn't listen to it, the side referees are going to pick it up as well.
True story. And this particular chief referee has a loud, booming voice. You cannot
You
miss
can't miss it. You can probably hear it at home on the microphone. Ishikawa from Japan
Looks
wants
like we have a
200.
change. Oh, never mind. Indeed, I was right. There looks to be a change. So we went from that 200 to 202. That just means they have to change what's on the bar.
So we have 202.5 for Ishikawa.
This is just a little bit of an increase. Looks like he's maybe jockeying for place a little bit. Only 2.5 more than what he initially was supposed to have.
Yeah, just trying to sneak in there and take fifth. Looking at the overall
Very
big picture for the
close.
Japanese team.
Very close between he and the Canadian.
And it's just a little bit too much for him.
A little bit too much, but all the respect to the referees. I have to mention that's something I respect very much. That a lot of the
Yeah, I think it's a
Asian
really important
lifters
thing that
have a lot of respect.
athletes take time to acknowledge the people that make the sport happen for them. Without the referees, without the volunteers, without the spotters and loaders, there is no competition.
That's very true.
And they all volunteer their time. So yeah, I think it's important they take the time. I think that's something that a good coach is teaching their junior athletes. De Graw for 202.5. He's got it to the top. He fought for it. And he gets it.
And my best hair award went 3 for 3 in the deadlift. Must have been the hair.
I think the hair was definitely helpful.
Whatever you have to believe in.
I'll see if I can sell it and drop the kibble.
Eddie Berglund, bars loaded.
Shakatov from Kazakhstan looking for 220 to finish his day. In a solid fourth position.
Come on, Eddie, rip it up, Eddie.
Just couldn't get the kibble up on that one.
And you know, it's interesting. He took 20 kilogram jump from 1 to 2 and then
It
2 to
was
3.
a big jump
That's
for his
a lot
third.
of weight. 20 kilograms is, not a small potato.
It's a big jump on a deadlift at this time of day. Right, our next lifter, Matthew Robertson from Canada. He wants 225. Everyone's jostling for these positions to get the extra points for their team.
Right, and 5th and 6th are only 2.5 away from each other, so it makes all the difference to...
Yeah, you've got to think of the big picture. It's not just you out there. You've got a whole team. The points go to them as well.
Even if you're not standing on that 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place, your points count.
Here he is with his first position. And that's a big bag of kibble that he just can't get up.
It's always hard for me to see somebody drop that much weight on their 3rd. It isn't as if they would be double red lighted because they didn't get it and they dropped it from their hands, but...
Kroll from Poland wants 227.5.
Only 3 lifters left in the 74 kilogram sub-junior men's weight class.
These are our 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So Kroll is currently in bronze position. The numbers with Glasgow are dead even at 582.5.
Right.
He's got this to the top. And he gets that one on the board.
And getting that lift, what that means is that the other lifter that now lifts has to either do something different to get back into 2nd, either add weight or take what he's got, because it looks like...
So Glasgow takes to 582.5. He's lighter in weight. So that'll put him in silver overall.
It's a good situation to be in, actually.
Yeah, there's a few extra grams. He's not a lot lighter either. He's only a few hundred grams lighter, but it's made all the difference.
0.367?
Yeah, so he's 300 grams down. Made all the difference on the day. And he is built for this lift. Look at those legs.
Just another really smart move by Team USA. Really placing their lifters well.
And he has had a fantastic day. He's got that one up. He smiles at the head referee. Thank you.
There we go. All he had to do was wait.
And that gives him the silver medal. So Kasanov wins gold. Glasgow takes the silver away from Kroll. And Kroll goes home with a bronze medal.
And body weight wins again.
And we have got a monster finishing lift from Kasanov at 255 kilos, who was way out in front. No one was going to catch him. All he had to do was his job.
560.
This is a massive lift for a sub-junior.
And his first 2 look so good. I expect this one to be really well.
He's rushed his setup a little bit though. Wow! And he held that bar all the way to the bottom. But he still got a red light for it because he wasn't in control.
Correct.
But he will finish as the world champion. Wow, what an absolutely incredible day of lifting we've had. We have seen so many world records, so many battles for places. Rebecca Main, thank you so much for joining us in the commentary box today. Don't go too far away. We will have the medal ceremony on platform 1. And remember, tomorrow, Eleiko, SBD, IPF will bring you even more action on both of these platforms.